Hello, I'm Zander. Welcome back to the show. This week we've got another very special guest. Here's our guest, the fourth Doctor. Hello. Great to have you on the show.
Pleasure to be here.
So, I understand you have just come from battling the Daleks.
Ah, yes. Pepper pot people. Garbage cans of guns. Nasty business. Nasty business.
Now, I understand that they tried to kill you for what must be the millionth time. How does that feel, being hated by an entire race?
Well, I tell you this. When you're a genocidal garbage can with a gun and a plunger, with a hatred of everything not like itself, you need to be stomped out. However, time and time again, they come back. They always come back, despite everyone's best efforts to stop them. And why? Why is that? Ratings.
Now, you say ratings, but you claim to not be a fan of the TV show they've made out of you.
Ah, yes, yeah. That chap that played me he's quite exceptional, quite an actor, actually. However, you might notice that I share some differences. I have facial hair. He did not.
And how come that is?
Well, I believe the BBC thought that facial hair was too sinister. You'll notice that the great nemesis, the Master, always up until recently had facial hair. They're very sinister.
And of course, the new Master can't have a beard.
Now,
Of course, the Doctor now can't have a beard either.
oh, by the way, would you care for a jelly baby?
Oh, there you go. Well, I actually showed my last guest this, but I seem to have made my own of your sonic screwdriver.
Oh, very stylish, very new. I, of course, have the classic.
Now, one thing I want to ask is, how come did you build yours or did you get them from Gallifrey? That's one thing I've always wondered. I'm a big fan of the show version of you, but that is one thing I've always wondered.
The TARDIS, my space and time vehicle, generates one based on my needs. And also the style popular at the time. And what's available at the moment. In this case, this is state of the art for my time. That's quite a bit more modern.
Bit different. The top is based off of your newest one. On the show, they've gone up ahead many lives, and you're still on number 5, is it? There was that one, the grumpy, long, white-haired fellow, the one with the recorder, who I was very sure was Mo from the Three Stooges for a while. The very first energetic Doctor.
Ah, yes, Aikido.
And then there was there was one in between 1 and 2, the one with the mustache, or first and only Doctor on TV to have a mustache. He wasn't even on TV, he had a movie. Peter Cushing, when you were a human, and I've been meaning to ask, how did you feel about that? Was it like insulting in any way? Because
it was very odd. It was very odd because
a human you.
Let's face it, I'm not human. I just appear so. It's far too expensive to. 4 legs. 4 legs would make no sense in space travel, would it?
No, it really wouldn't.
No. Tentacles, not really useful in space travel. Pseudopodia, also not useful in space travel.
What?
But feet, very, very useful, especially when you are interacting with humans on a regular basis.
Now, can you make yourself look like another species? Like you can regenerate into, say, Santar and you'll be Potato Shake.
It has to be relatively humanoid. I don't know why that is.
Now, a friend of mine, I mentioned him in the last episode, when he was young, built this just because he was bored.
Ah, quite the replica. Excellent craftsmanship. Wait a moment. Quite fascinating. Fascinating.
The top tastes like cheese. I've tried it. I figured we could just leave it here as decoration.
Why, certainly.
Now, you may not be able to see it because of the way the set is built, but off to that side I have a huge poster of several of his incarnations.
Ah, dashing lot. Very, very Caucasian. Very male.
Now,
that fellow at the front with his hand up looks especially dashing.
Now this jacket, I actually ordered it before the show even went into production because I was making myself a 7th incarnation of you costume, a 7th Doctor costume, and Dr. Banjo, my co-host over there's hat is actually the hat that I wear as a 7th Doctor hat.
It's very sharp, old chap. Very sharp. Very sharp.
And I have this, which I still haven't painted to be red.
Oh.
And I have several other pieces, including...
Stylish and practical. Quite so.
Now, the 11th version of you, the 11th Doctor, claims to make bow ties cool again. But that's not entirely true, as your second incarnation, your second self, he had a bow tie too. What is your affinity with bow ties?
Well, they come and go like any other fashion trend. You don't want to be battling aliens and looking like a slob, obviously.
Of course.
But you know, I've over 900 years old. The bow tie has come and gone dozens of times. Sometimes a straight tie, sometimes a bow tie, sometimes a scarf.
A very long scarf.
Very long.
I also have, we have a second guest. He's rather battered and beaten up. I don't think he even knew he was coming today, but I'll get him on. I promise this is probably the last time I go off the stage. Your dog. Yes. And he's rather...
He looks in wretched shape.
His
Ears missing.
Ears
Tail
fell off.
missing.
Well, the tail actually I have right here.
Ah. Oh. He's seen better days.
Well, I've heard that they have an Australian spin-off show about him now.
Australian, indeed.
So, about your name. Is this doctor name? Is it your real name, or do you have another name?
Well, not so as you'd know. The Doctor is a title. It's a name I've chosen. You don't always get to choose your own name. It's highly unimportant. Now, of course, it's become something of a running gag.
Now, why the Doctor? Any particular reason why?
Well, I have several doctorates. I go about righting wrongs, fixing things that are broken, much in the way a doctor does.
Now, these Daleks, they've annihilated the Earth before, but this was the first time they ever decided to try and turn humans into them. Do you have any insight into why they might want to do that? If they think they're a superior race, don't you think they would just want to kill off everyone?
You'd think so, but truly, the greatest weakness they have is they're unable to walk up a flight of stairs. So,
that's cool.
I assume that the Dalek Supreme figured that he could better achieve his goals with legs. And so began the decision to breed some human blood into them. DNA fusion. It's not going to work. Really won't work.
Now, how come you didn't just kill them? this time.
Well, I'm hardly a genocidal maniac, am I? I'd become as bad as they are if I decided to wipe out a whole entire race of people. And disgusting and squid-like though they may be, are still a life form, and I cannot bring myself to destroy them utterly. The Time Lords, on the other hand, have no qualms whatsoever about having an entire epic time war with the Daleks.
Of course not. The Daleks wage war, and the Time Lords appease them.
Well,
I always thought it might be because the Daleks always want to kill people because maybe they're just bored.
Yeah, it's bred into them. From the day they were created by Davros, the evil genius, his hatred of all normal humanoid races, of all races really that weren't like him, twisted and scarred by interminable nuclear war, he realized that their final form after they mutated would be helpless, a tiny, disgusting squid with one eye, and he wanted to ensure the survival of his species, however they were. However, in his heart, he was filled with hate, and so, as he used his own DNA to create them, he passed on that hate genetically, generation after generation. I can't imagine the Daleks being capable of going to a singles bar and persuasion. I can't imagine anything more disgusting, really. And yet, there are thousands or millions of them. So they must, from time to time, one would think, get freaky.
That's something to think about.
But not before you've eaten them.
Now, this is an interesting segue. You see, something that happens in your later life, I don't know if it'll happen in reality to you, but in the TV show, you give up your sonic screwdriver, a future version of it, to help a young Davros.
Not old Sonic. Well.
And you replace it with sonic sunglasses, if you can even believe.
Oh, I see.
Eventually, you do get a new one back, but
Sonic sunglasses.
I ordered it in the mail, the new one, and it came out with your 11th version one, and I'm like, that's not correct.
That's terribly regrettable.
Well, at least it's not another one of those. No one can ever replace that one.
Quite so, quite so.
You know, in your off time, not that you have much of that, but in your off time, what do you think about video games? Board games are all well and good, but video games.
Well, if one has that much free time, one should spend it studying, reading, improving one's mind against the day when you might be invaded and not have a gun at hand.
Well,
You might have to outthink your opponent rather than outshoot him.
I did call out your name, if that makes sense, in reference to yourself reading, listening to a jazzy Night Lounge song. I should have started that up. I am not prepared for this.
Well, I'm afraid that I'm going to have to go, because I've just had a telepathic message from Romana, the Time Lady, and I was supposed her first one, the one with the dark hair, rather tall and lovely. We were supposed to meet at a cafe in Rickmansworth in about 10 minutes ago. So I'm going to hop into the TARDIS, go back 10 minutes ago, have some lunch, and watch this show as we're doing it. And so I must say, good luck, good day, adieu.
Nice to meet you, Doctor. Well, that's about it for today, folks. Wanted to say goodbye. And that's about it for today, and bye.